Hey guys, Michael Edward here, True Trading Group. And with this video, I want to take a little bit of time and go over more so a mental lesson than a technical lesson or a trading lesson. Because we had an instance today where a member asked me a question in chat regarding this INPX, and it really got me thinking about some mental rules and some mental hurdles that we have to overcome as traders, and I want to speak about. This. It's so important. I can't stress this enough. How important it is to trade with a clear head. Okay. There's a lot of things that can happen throughout the day when you're trading that can upset you, that will frustrate you, that will aggravate you, and can really cloud your judgment and really affect your trading for the rest of the day. And that can be very, very expensive and costly for you and can lose you a lot of money very quickly. So I want to talk about this INPX. First, I'm going to go through the chart pattern and the trade that we saw here in the afternoon in this INPX. And then I'm going to get into the mental lesson and takeaway from this setup. Okay, here's your INPX. Okay, this is a 3-minute chart. Stock opened up today, gapped up above yesterday's high. As you guys know, I don't trade right off the opening bell. There's just too much noise. There's too much really not enough data or information to tell me if a stock is strong or weak. So I like to let stocks open up, trade for a couple of minutes, set up, and then show me if the stock is strong or weak. So this INPX gapped up, immediately ran, touched a high of 44, and then pulled in to a low of 36. That pull in, though, also happens to be right around the previous day's high. So the stock held that gap up right here, where you can see where my mouse cursor is, and then immediately bounced off of it. Okay, eventually ended up pushing to make a new high of the day. This is a pattern that we look for very, very often off the open when stocks gap up, and this INPX did it very, very quickly. But then the same thing held true twice more throughout the day. So you've got that initial morning high, the pull in, and then the new high. Okay, so INPX did it very quickly in the first couple of minutes of the day. Then after you see that breaks that new high, the stock pulls in, holds. It's holding support of the previous morning high. Let me draw a line for you so it's a lot easier to see. Okay, here's your initial morning high. Here's the break of that morning high. Here's the pull in, and now you see the stock holds that initial morning high. So that area is now a temporary support for the stock, and you get that extension move higher when the stock breaks out and makes new highs again. Okay, I did not trade this. I did not catch this. A couple of our other traders, Alex was all over this. Alex Campbell was all over this trade in the morning, and he actually caught this move and was calling it out step by step as the trade unfolded. But that's not the end of this trade. All right, let me delete this line and draw a new line. As you can see, after the stock broke out above that initial morning high, pulled in, held support, and extended higher, this area held support all day long. Okay, so that initial morning high, after it got broken, became support for the rest of the day. Then you can start to see this descending triangle pattern forming in INPX throughout lunchtime. When you see this type of pattern, this is a very high percentage pattern that I teach a lot and that I try to get members to look for because it's a high percentage pattern with a very low risk, high reward setup. Okay, if you enter this position anywhere in front of this support area, your risk is very low. You have very controlled risk by entering this stock anywhere in here. Okay, and then you can add to the position as it breaks out of this descending triangle pattern, this resistance line that you see here, or you can just wait until it breaks above this trend line and then look for that continuation move. Usually, more often than not, when you get this type of a pattern, if the stock breaks out above this downtrend resistance line, the stock usually makes a run to retest the previous high, which is right here. Okay, usually, not every time, but usually you get a retest of that high. And this INPX gave us that trade perfectly. Okay, but that's not what I want to focus about on this video. It's more about what happened right here. I had a member ask me, Mike, what do I do when I get stopped out right here? I'm going to zoom in on this tail. Because as you can see, the stock very briefly went down, touched below that little support line that we drew, and then very quickly came back up. And he was very frustrated about it and asked, what do I do in a situation like that? And this is what got me thinking about mental hurdles that we encounter throughout the day. Getting stopped out like this has happened to everyone. Getting stopped out and the stock immediately jumps right back up, okay? It's so easy to get frustrated and get upset when something like this happens that can cloud your judgment for the whole rest of the day and just completely mess you up, okay? It's so important to not revenge trade when this happens, okay? Do not get upset. Do not get angry. And I really suggest never ever buying the stock right back as soon as you get stopped out. So if you get stopped out and the stock jumps up, please don't immediately buy it right back. Okay? Why? I'm gonna say, well, Mike, if the stock jumped right back up, why not just get right back in? Because you're not thinking clearly at this point. Now, which this was your stop loss, now you jump back in. If you were actually right in setting your stop loss here, okay, and the stock continues lower, the chances are you're not going to set your stop loss at that same price again. You're going to set it lower, or maybe you won't set it at all. And then the stock moves lower again, and now you just turned a small loss, maybe a 3%, 4% loss, into a 8, 9, 10% loss. Don't let it happen. Keep your losses small, and if you get stopped out and the stock immediately runs back up and moves away from your stop loss, almost seeming like it went down just to screw with you and stop you out and then bounce back up higher, we all know the feeling. Take a break. Don't take the stock off your watch list because it could still be in play, okay? And watch. Don't jump right back in because you're not going to be thinking clearly. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be upset, and it's understandable. But as traders, we have to control that emotion and think clearly and look at this as a brand new trade. Let the stock continue and go and set itself up, because as soon as you get stopped out here and then you see this move here, you're going to be pissed. Okay? It's human nature. It just is the way it is, okay? But you can't get upset. You have to stay level-headed and say, okay, this is a brand new trade setup. Because if you did get stopped out right here and you kept INPX on your radar and you watched this support level hold here, and hold here, and then see this breakout of this resistance line, you could have entered the stock here and caught this move and made that loss back and then some, and turned what was a negative day in NIPX into a positive one, okay? That's what I want to take away from this video lesson. It's not the pattern, although I love this pattern. We talk about it every single day in True Trading Group. And I love the pattern. We trade it all the time. But it's the mental hurdle of getting stopped out and having the stock then continue higher. It happened to me today in NETE. And I was extremely frustrated. I got stopped out 0.4 of a penny from my stop loss. Okay, the stock went 0.4 of a penny lower than my stop loss, and then turned around and ran higher and went up 15% from where my buy was. I could not begin to tell you how frustrated I was in that trade. And this is something that I need to deal with as a trader. I need to do better as a trader, that I need to work on is that mental hurdle and not getting upset when I get stopped out on something like that. It's very frustrating, but you have to stay clear. If you are not thinking clearly and you're still upset and you haven't let it go, do not trade. Get up from your computer, take a walk, go outside, go get a drink of water, go get something to eat. Step away, clear your head, let it go and forget about it, and come back focused as if it never happened, and focus on what's in front of you and look for a new trade setup. And even if it's in the same stock, like it was in this INPX, treat it as a brand new trade setup, like you're looking at this stock for the very first time, and forget that you were stopped out back here, because it's going to be very important that you stick to your stop losses, because it will save you money in the long run. You're going to have a tendency to move your stop loss now farther away, or maybe not set one at all. And like I said, you're going to turn a 3 or 4% loss into a 10% loss. Okay. And that's how you blow up your day. Okay. So focus on that. I know it's a lot easier said than done. It's something I struggle with personally, but it's important for us to focus on that as traders and overcome those mental hurdles throughout the day, so we can think clearly and we can see these chart patterns. So keep a clear head, don't revenge trade, don't get upset, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.